Welcome to the Success Builders podcast. If you're an entrepreneur seeking motivation, inspiration, and real-world strategies to grow your business, you're in the right place. Here we believe success isn't a destination, it's a journey filled with golden nuggets of wisdom shared from one business owner to another. I'm Liz Nanel, a real estate agent, mentor, entrepreneur, and your host on this exciting path. In every episode, I'll bring you valuable insights from entrepreneurs who's been in the trenches, built their dreams, and are ready to share their secrets with you. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take your business to new heights, this is your space to learn, grow, and connect. Let's dive in and build success together. Welcome to the Success Builders listeners. We're very excited to have you here for our episode today. And we have nobody but Keegen Bain, a phenomenal entrepreneur, and I can't wait for us to deep dive into his brain. Keegen, welcome at Success Builders podcast.
Thank you so much, Liz. We're not only friends, but business partners, and it's an absolute honor being here today. So thank you very much for having me.
Exciting that we get to be business partners. I feel like that is one of my highlights of last year, is the fact that we partnered up, and I did not foresee the partnership nor the friendship that built from that. So it is awesome to get to work with you on a daily basis, and I was not teasing. I would love to dive into that brain of yours. I think you're a complete empire with everything that you do. So tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial skills and where did they come from?
So I have never actually worked for anybody a day in my life, to be quite honest. I left school and I jumped into the real estate industry quite quickly and found it being very successful in it from a very short space of time. Realized how much I love being in real estate. And that sort of overflowed into going overseas and exploring new opportunities there, and then coming back into real estate, and then going through this, I don't call it a midlife crisis because it's definitely not mid-year, it's more like a baby crisis or a young man's crisis, where I was like, am I doing this for the rest of my life? And in that space, I was quite troubled. I was quite troubled with the fact that I always saw myself in this light where I was going to be a lawyer or an accountant or some big businessman working for some big corporate. You know, I've always liked wearing suits. I've always had that type of persona of the idea of where I want to be. And I was like, real estate, really? Like, is this it? And I came back from living in Qatar for almost a year and a bit, and started my own coffee business. And after opening up my coffee business, I discovered that I really like real estate. Not actually like hospitality, but like real estate, and I like business. So I was always doing real estate while I was building this coffee business. I think the entrepreneurial thoughts and mindset comes from my dad. My dad is an entrepreneur for 30 plus years. And I believe that you're a born entrepreneur. I think that you can learn the skills to be an entrepreneur, but I think you're either born with it or you're not. It's just sort of my belief. And I think not ever working for somebody and earning a salary, you always needed to improvise and be creative and be determined and resilient. And real estate gives you that platform where you're actually your own boss and you're formulating this space to be able to earn as much money as you want to earn. And I always loved that idea. A lot of people are quite scared of commission-based spaces. I loved it because I hated the idea that I would work under somebody, even as a manager, even as a director, and that person above me is doing half the work that I'm doing, but they are earning 3 times what I'm earning. And real estate gave me that space to determine my own salary, gave me the space to build my own business. And I think that's where the sort of enhancement of wanting to dive deep into this space came from.
I absolutely love that. I think you hit the nail right on the head when you speak about the fact that you can design your life, you can design your income, and you can design your business as it suits you. And now I'm word playing on the suit you and the suits that you just mentioned there, and then this business persona, because I feel like that kind of, we can take two directions with it. We'll make a diversion later. But first, let's talk about luxury real estate, the master classes that you are doing for real estate agents to upskill them. It has hit off. It's so popular. And the amount of information, knowledge, and skill that you share in them is fantastic. So let's talk about that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I think, after we did our second masterclass, I sat back and thought about it, and I was like, I wish when I was in, 2 years in real estate, 3 years in, 4 years in real estate, that I wish this space was there. I mean, I didn't know about it. If it was, then I was obviously blinded to it, but I really wish I could attend these type of things where I could get this amount of knowledge and this amount of insight into the market with somebody that's got a decade in the industry, that works in luxury space. I work in all different spaces, but I really enjoy luxury space. It was always a space I wanted to work in. And the masterclass was a really nice platform to give back. And I'm a very big advocate for giving back to not only community, but also giving back to the industry. And I feel like that doesn't necessarily occur. And we are, generating this powerful space where we're giving back to the community and giving back to the industry, which I am inspired by. You actually inspired me even more with regards to it. And when the masterclass came up, it was a space for me to say, well, this is the industry standard. This is the standard that people know, but there's so much more that nobody's telling you about, and we're going to tell you about it. So I just laid it out on the table, and I said, the 3 things that have become extremely powerful in my space that I work in, especially in the luxury space, breaking through market with brands that have been around for 3, 4, 5 decades. How do we do this? How do we get to this space where we can compete with people that have been in the industry for 20, 30 decades? I know agents that have been in the industry for 30 decades working in my area. How do we break through this? How do we compete? How do we formulate a brand that can puncture through really quality brands and skill sets? So I formulated the 3 fundamentals, which is knowledge, mindset, and brand and marketing. And the first masterclass was based on the 3 broad spectrum, and now we're diving into them one by one. So we've covered brand and marketing, which I think is a great space because that's the evolution of real estate. The knowledge and the mindset, people could have, but the evolution, the big evolution of where real estate's going is highly driven on brand and marketing and how to promote yourself. The fact that you are your brand, and if you know me, you know that I'm a big advocate that you are your brand. Doesn't matter where you work or what company you work for, you selling real estate at the end of the day, and that's the important part.
I love that. And I love the passion that you've got, and you hit the nail right on the head with the fact that brand and marketing is everything. From what you've known that I've said before, one of those small little one-liner tips I picked up when I was at the conference in Miami last year was the fact that the most or the best known will beat the best.
Yes.
And I think that you've got the best known down. Your social media is incredible, but also the way that you do everything. You are impeccable with your expectations, which means that carries over to any of your clients, whether it's a buyer or a seller or an investor or a developer. You make sure that they get the very best service. And I think that speaks volumes, because that is not something that you choose to do or choose not to do. You do it on a daily basis. So tell us a little bit more about that.
I like that you've mentioned that. I think that's a big fundamental factor in the industry that sets you apart. There's a lot of real estate agents. There's thousands. There's thousands and thousands and thousands. And you need to determine what differentiates you. Yes, the suit is good and it makes you stand out. But inevitably, we're dealing in a space where we're handling people's assets. And when you're handling people's assets, some clients' biggest assets, you need to know what you're doing. And you need to be providing ultimate service, especially in luxury space. And you're so right. It's not a choice. There's many a times you would know you would definitely know. You think you're an entrepreneur, you've got the freedom to do what you want and you can work whenever you want. I've never worked so hard in my life before. I mean, the 9 hours does not exist in my space. I take calls at 10 o'clock at night. I take calls on New Year's and Christmas that sometimes I actually put the phone down and I'm like, I cannot believe what's just happened. Like, this person just phoned me on Christmas. But I think inevitably that's the business space that we're in. And there's an old saying, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I have not worked a day in my life for a good couple of years. I love what I do, and I'm very passionate about what I do. And I think inevitably service it's what we provide. We don't provide product, we provide service. So that's something that I uphold extremely high, and I think that's a big part of what sets me apart in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Set you apart is also those suits that you've just mentioned.
Yeah.
We can't ignore them, but I want to dive a little bit deeper than the suits. I know very often, especially when you are busy in the luxury space and you're busy with providing training, which you so freely give to your peers, and I see so many people that's been years longer in the industry that look up to you for the value that you provide. I am a firm believer that whether it is money, if you've got a lot of it, share it. But I do think people discount the fact that knowledge and wisdom is something far more valuable than any fund or any money. And you so freely give of that, which I think is a beautiful thing. But let's dive past the beauty, all of the nice suits and the beauty of things, luxury real estate market that's out there, and let's jump a little bit into the beauty of your heart. The Keegen that I really started enjoying when I saw past the suits, I was like, this guy is awesome.
My heart's racing, eh?
Let's chat a little bit about that. Let's chat about who you are and why you look at things the way that you look. You spoke about your school career a little bit earlier. Tell us about the school where you were in. Tell us about the foundations of life. Wherever you're comfortable with diving in and opening up a little bit for us, let's go there.
I think that I've always used social media as a platform to be my blinds. And that's the way that I like it to be. Honestly, I do. There's no reason for me to show you more than what you deserve to see. And it's not an arrogance thing, it's a personal thing. We all have things that are close to our hearts and close to our minds that we don't really need the public to know about. So I really do use social media as my platform. But who I am is quite a complex person. I really do believe I'm quite complex. My brain runs at 1,000 kilometers an hour. I don't ever do anything without a purpose, honestly. I feel like I'm permanently on a chessboard. I'll always make a move here to put myself in a better position there from a business perspective. And from a life perspective as well. I'm a big advocate for self-development. I've been on a self-development journey ever since I was a young boy. I went to school in Stellenbosch, Powerhouse Gymnasium, the best school in the world, and it was a privilege. And after that, I went to university, and I felt like I was a slightly troubled soul, and I needed to discover who I was to determine what I would love in the world and in society. And having a very strong personality, I think I've always had a bit of blinds, and I think that's why I'm so good at social media. I'm so good at the blinds because I've always had the blinds, the strong personality, and then behind this is this little ball of mush that you've seen a bit of, and you know, my family knows quite well, and my very close friends know well. And I think that consists of just being very authentic, being authentically who you are, and never changing that for anyone. The world, just like business, has a lot of noise, loads of noise. And we can so quickly, through social media and through people's circles, environments, change who we are to please the people around us. And that's one thing that I have never done. I've always been authentic. I've always been myself. And that person consists of major values, major beliefs. I'm a big Christian, and that space for me is something that I hold dear to my heart, and it's the building blocks of who I am as an individual. I'm actually very fun. I'm very down to earth. I'm very plat, as you would say. Yes, I'm baie plat. But I am. I enjoy hunting. I enjoy fishing. I enjoy being on a bicycle. And I enjoy spending time with my family and friends. I think that's what means the most. And it's strange that you mentioned this and that you brought that topic from that angle. I'm very close with my mom, and she gave me a call yesterday, and she says to me, "My boy, I'm so proud of you. I can see where you're going. You're flying, But just remember, always stay humble." And I went silent on this side of the call, and I said to her, "Mom, does it feel like I'm not being humble?" She says, No. I'm just reminding you. Always stay humble and grounded." And it sort of hit me. I switched off the music, and the brain went 1,000 kilometers an hour again. And it's so true. We can't die with anything that we have. The suits, the money, the cars, the success, the big Instagram pages, it will all disappear. And there's an old thing that I always refer to. I always ask people, the most famous woman to ever live in our era, I would say, is the Queen of England. And if I had to ask you today, when did she die? I don't think you can answer me. You don't know. Nope. And she was the most important woman in the world for decades on decades on decades. So, what's it? Dust to dust, ashes to ashes. At the end of the day, we can't die with any of these things. So live your life to the fullest. Be happy. And I think that was a narrative that I pushed quite hard was, am I happy? And how do we get to a space of happiness? And that's a question that I have for you. What do you think is the definition in your life that makes you happy? What makes an individual happy? Or what makes Liz and Nell happy?
Oh, I love how you just switched this on me, Keegen. And I think I've got the answer, and that's probably why I'm happy. I think when you were speaking about the fact that you went on this discovery race, a lot of us go on that throughout life, and you find out, what am I all about? So about 2 weeks ago, there was this seminar, and it was like a personal growth seminar, and he asked one question, and I could see people unable to write down. And the question was very simple. It was not specific, but I think that was the beauty of it. The question was, why are you here? And it was within microseconds. I wrote on the notepad they put down for me to make a difference. And I think when you know your why, everything else in life is just so much easier. So my happiness comes from living my why. And I'm totally living my why because I believe I'm making a difference every day. And the difference does not need to be big crowds. It does not need to be touching a lot of lives. You can only touch one life. That is leaving a legacy behind because you have made it easier or better for someone while they're in their journey here. So that is probably why Lisna is happy. And Lisna is loving what she does every day. So I'm not working a day in my life either. While some people would say, Lisna, you work so hard. It does look like that when you're really passionate about what you do. So sometimes I need to remind myself that it can actually look or translate to work, even though I'm just living my best life every day, like I'm having fun with what I'm doing. I think if I get up in the morning and that's not fun, I'll know I've got a problem on my hands. So for me, true happiness comes from living your why. And if you don't know what your why is, you need to go discover that. And I think once you've got that down, the happiness just follows.
I think we've spent some time over the course of the last year, and we've realized how similar we are. And I think we've got it so down that we are almost identical. I feel like you're a twinsy. We're twins. But honestly, I could not agree with you more. I think that you hit the nail on the head 3 times over. I think your why is very important, and we push that in the masterclass as well. Your mindset of why you're doing this. Why are you in real estate? Why are you in the space that you're in? Why do you work in the area that you're in? And I think once you start answering those questions and start figuring out who you are, I think, your career becomes so much more pleasurable. Your relationships, your friendships, everything around you becomes so much more fulfilling and more purposeful if you understand your why. And I think it fundamentally starts with yourself. I really do believe that. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. Doesn't matter what career path you're in. Doesn't matter what car you drive, what else. I think what makes you happy is understanding who you are as an individual. And it creates so much it creates a lot more connectivity around you.
Love that. I have to give my listeners a little 101 lesson of how Keegen just tried to divert when we were going in deeper. So Keegen, I'm not going to let you get away with it. I think you touched on something that I think is, for me, so true to you, and that was when you spoke of your mom. Now, I had the privilege to recently meet her, and the only thing I wanted to say to her, which I did, was, if I get to the stage where my child, who is a grown man, speaks as beautifully of me like you do of her, I would feel that would be success for me. So you asked me about happiness. Now that would be success. But I think it also reflects to who you are and the fact that the work that your mom has put in you. Because all of that kind of shapes and creates a person, and you never forget that. I can see that in every little conversation that we have, and I'm sure that that is the true person. The real Keegen is the person that sits when you sit in that house, and it doesn't matter whether it's a 25 million rand house or whether it's a 2.5 million rand house. I have never seen you bring a different individual to one scenario than to the next, which I think is a beautiful quality. And I love what you said with the fact that what you put out there, what you show, that's for the world to see. And we do that all of the time. When you show up at work, you dress accordingly and appropriately. And that social media is your work, and you dress and show up accordingly and appropriately. But I do think seeing who Keegen is as a person, the way you live your life, the way you treat people around you, for me, that's the true beauty of who you are. So we can't jump to Liz now. We have to keep diving into Keegen. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I wasn't trying to divert, by the way, to all the cameras. I just like picking Listeners' brain as well. It's something that I really enjoy with humanity. I love asking questions. I've been inquisitive from a very young age. You'll never hear me sit in a space and actually talk about myself. I know myself. I don't need to talk about myself. I need to talk about you, because the more I know about you, the more knowledge I can get from the space that I'm in, and also figuring out who this individual is.
I was just teasing
I
you.
know.
It's like what we do, isn't it?
100%. I want to go back onto my mom. You mentioned something quite cool about that. So for all the listeners, my mom's been in the industry for 13 years. And she'll remind me that she taught me everything that I know today. She will. And she did. She honestly did. She's a great inspiration. My family is a great inspiration for me. I think it's something that I hold extremely dear to my heart. If you know me, you know that that's my number one priority. It's my circle, and that's my holy space, and we're very supportive. And they did do a good job with me. They raised a good kid that still gets disciplined from time to time. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so my mom was a great inspiration, and I think from a human perspective, so let's take business out of the sense. She's extremely, extremely pure. She's the Mother Teresa of our family. And yes, I'm talking about her like you mentioned, but why I'm mentioning it to you and why I'm talking about it is because that was an inspiration for me. Even at the age that I'm at, even being in the industry for 10 years, even selling 10 million plus homes, she's an inspiration. She's an inspiration based on the way that she treats people. And with my brain that runs at 1,000 kilometers an hour, that, you know, I'm maybe a little bit impatient. I want things to be done fast. As we know, I'm a DI on the personality card. My mom's the complete opposite. And I always feel like we can always be better versions of ourselves. A lot of people ask me, what is my goal? And my goal's been the same for a decade long, since I could think about a goal. And my goal was to be the best version of me. And I know that sounds simple and it's so cliche, but let me explain to you why. Because if I can be the best business person, I'll be the best version of me. If I can be the best person to my family, I'll be the best person in that space to be able to help them and support them. If I'm the best husband, if I'm the best father, you can provide that to your kids around you. So being the best version of you in that moment in time will inevitably allow you to reach the goals that you want to achieve. If I'm the best business person, I can open up the Trump Tower. I can build the biggest development. I can do the biggest deal because I'm being the best version of who I am. So I always feel like if you're, again, focusing on bettering yourself, inevitably it will ricochet to whatever things you want to put your hands on. So that's why that will always be my goal. And the other thing about that goal is it's never achievable because you're not perfect and you'll never get to the best version of you. The idea is to keep on chasing the best version of you. And it's the same in our careers. Nothing will be enough. No house will be big enough. But it's the passion and the love behind what we do that makes us succeed in what we're doing, I believe. And my mom is a really good advocate for that. She's extremely knowledgeable, but the way that she treats people is unmatched from what I've seen. And I think that's the biggest lesson that I can learn in the world is treating people with love and care and kindness, because we're actually just human beings at the end of the day. And everybody's holding a board, and behind that board is a person that is going through things. And sometimes we can jump to the gun, and react on the way that they're treating us or speaking to us. And at the end of the day, we need to understand that we're just human beings, all chasing the same rat race. So that would probably be my biggest inspiration, is her from that perspective.
I love that, Keegen. And I also think that's something that we strongly relate on, is that personal growth journey, because that is a never-ending story. And I think you've got a very good routine down for achieving that. I was quite fascinated when I obviously know about your gym and athletics and sports and your love for all of that, and I don't know how many thousands of kilometers that you cycle, but the fact that you do that while being on a personal growth journey, not just physically pushing your body while you're on the bike for 3 hours, but at the same time, you very often have a podcast on or an audio that you are learning from and that you're growing from, and repeating that is automatically how you grow yourself and why you are so successful at what you do, and also why you are so kind. And the fact that you want to continue growing on that just shows why you are who you are and where you are. So I want to applaud you on that, and I want you to tell us a little bit about that fitness side. I know your brother has got a very special role that he plays in his career and his journey, which is also very interesting. So shine a little light for us on that.
You're really diving deep, eh?
I am. I'm going all the way.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a fitness enthusiast. Some people would say I'm running away from my problems. I would say sometimes too. But the biggest part about why I love fitness, let's break this down. Let's go back. I think that what really makes people ultra successful, is two things: discipline and consistency. In anything you do, think about anything that you want to achieve, do, if it's sport, hobby, fishing, hunting, doesn't matter what you do. If you consistently do it with discipline, when you don't want to do it, you will be ultra successful in it. And I treat everything like that. If I want to be a really good realtor, then I invest loads of time with discipline and consistency every single day to be a good realtor, through many different variables, through, again, mindset, knowledge, growth, brand and marketing, putting myself in better circles, and the list goes very long. It's not one thing, it's not three things, it's many different things. And it's the same with fitness. So we grew up in a household that had a lot of discipline. My father was in the army, and we grew up with rules. And if they were broken, there were consequences. I'm sure you can use your imagination. So for me, I actually, that was a big fundamental blocks of what sort of ended up with me and my brother. You know, we're both ultra disciplined people. I don't think I've woken up later than 5:30 in the last, I don't know how many years. Saturdays, my internal alarm clock is at 6:30, and I'm like, what am I doing today? I think I must go run. But it's a discipline fact, and there are many times that I do not want to get up at 6-7 degrees in the morning, which it is now in winter in Cape Town, to go for a run. It's very cold. It's not fun, but there's a goal set out for me. There's an Ironman that needs to be completed. There's a big race at the end of the year that needs to be completed, and there's steps that need to follow for you to achieve that goal. And I have that in my hobbies, because being a triathlete is a hobby. I have that in my spiritual life. I have that in my emotional life, and I have that in my business life. So I think I really try and be well balanced, although sometimes I'm not. And then I try and bring myself back, and I have people in my life, my family, that always bring me back and say, hey, you need to come back to the space again, because you're pulling a little bit left or right, and I love that. I'm big on recognizing where I'm going wrong and how can I improve it. So what I'm actually referring to is the fact that discipline and consistency is the biggest sort of snowball effect to reaching the goals that you want to achieve in anything that you do. My brother, me and him are best friends. I'm very blessed to have a brother that, we do everything together, from business to sports to, emotional capacity to travel. And he lives in Qatar, so he's quite far away from me. But yet we still, take the time at least 2 or 3 times a week to call, to catch up. We chat regularly. We are regularly doing business deals together. And I think that, again, for us, family has always come first. And we live by a code that our family motto is Bain's never give up. And my father's been imprinting that in our brains since we were young boys on the rugby field. And we both live with that, sort of mindset of, we got a task, we need to get through it, no matter how tough it is, we need to get through it, and we won't give up on it. And if I look at my brother's career, my brother's ultra successful. He played international rugby, club rugby, triathlete, incredible businessman. And you can see the discipline and consistency with the never give up attitude that's got him to where he is. And you're so right. The fundamental blocks of a parent is so important. That's for sure.
I absolutely love that. Bain's never give up. That is a motto to live by. Before we finish off, what is the best piece of advice that you have gotten in the last year that you can share with our listeners? I mean, you've given them so much gold. I think there is a load of input, and I think that me and you can probably sit and chat like this for 2 hours, so we'll have to do a follow-up. Maybe make a little Bain's Never Give Up series. I'm into that. It could be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
But give us some other gold that you have learned, a lesson that you've learned over the last year that you think, no matter your age, no matter whether you're male or female or what career type, like what type of advice, golden nugget, can you leave our audience with?
I think I gave you a golden nugget in the previous sentence or section. I think that it's never too late to start. There's 2 things I want to mention. The first one is it's never too late to start. I've never been concerned about one's age. They can be ultra young. I started at 18. I mean, you don't get younger than that, do you? Or you could be 50, 60 years old. 70, 80 years old in the industry. I know people in the industry that are 70 years old. They're ultra successful. But it's never too late to start. And try not to wait for tomorrow, because tomorrow will never come. Start right now. Start right now. Make the decision right now. Lay the goal out. Put down the fundamental steps to get to that space and take initiative in getting there. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, you can get all of this goodness and all this information on my social media. All the tips, there's masterclasses that we run. Knowledge, I love giving it out. It's the most expensive data in the world, and I'm willing to give it out for free. That's how I look at it. And I'm really passionate about real estate. I absolutely love what I do. I love what we're doing. And I'm so grateful that you've come across my path. You're an absolute rock star. The things that you've achieved is phenomenal, and you're a massive inspiration to me. So I just want to thank you for everything that you do for your team, your family, your friends, and thank you for everything that you do for me. You're an absolute star, and I could not thank you enough for everything. So that's that. And then the last thing I want to say is, before you close, you mentioned something a little bit earlier about leaving a seed behind. by everybody that you speak to or touch or in vicinity with. And I want to say that somebody told me this a very long time ago, and I've said this in front of big crowds, but you can't change the world, but you can change one person's world, and that might be enough. So you don't need to do big things. You can do small things for individuals that could change their life for absolutely ever without you even knowing it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Keegen. It's a wealth of knowledge, so much kindness. I can see why you are so successful, and may you continue to be blessed. I'm honored to call you my business partner.
Thank you.
To our listeners, you've heard that. Bains never give up, and I think we can all live by that. To tap in a little bit more into Keegen Bain, into Bain International Realty, follow the links below this episode, and make sure to follow him on social media. We'll be back again.
Thank you for tuning in to the Success Builders podcast. I hope you're leaving with fresh insights and a renewed spark of inspiration to take your business to the next level. Remember, success is built one step at a time, and we're here to walk that journey with you. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow entrepreneur who could use some motivation. And if you want to dive deeper or connect with me personally, I'd love to hear from you. Reach out on LinkedIn, Instagram, or visit liznanel.com to get in touch. Until next time, keep building, keep growing, and keep chasing that success.